So, who would I want as a dinner guest? It would probably be, well, it actually varies every time I'm asked, but I would go with Jim Henson, partly because he is such a fascinating entertainer. The amount of energy, color, and passion that he puts in everything, whether it's Sesame Street, Muppets, or some of his more off-kilter stuff like Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, is so wonderful. And given that it's such a tragedy that we lost him at such an early age, it would be so fascinating to see how he would interpret this current day of entertainment, as he is such a wonderful visionary.
Does it have to be a famous person?
I guess it could be anybody.
Okay, so if I were to have a dinner guest, I probably would have my stepdad over for dinner. I really miss him. My stepdad passed away when I was 15 years old. I was really close with him, and I would like to have dinner with him, essentially tell him that I miss him, have him meet my boyfriend because he would love my boyfriend. He was a cinephile just like my boyfriend was, and I hope that, well, I can't really hope, but one day it'd be nice. So if I were to invite over a dinner guest, I probably would pick my stepdad. I was very close to him when I was growing up and everything, and I thought he was my actual dad until it came out a bit after his death that he's not my biological father. But honestly, I just wish I could have dinner with him and tell him how much I love him, miss him, and how, take him to a couple of places I know he'd like to eat, and essentially have him meet Dave, because my stepdad really would have loved Dave. So I would probably have over my stepdad if I could. Okay, next question.
Alright. Would you like to be famous? And if so, in what way?
I would like to be famous because I can help people more if I'm famous, I can help small brands advertise for their business. I can also promote smaller businesses, and I'm one of those influencers that I'm willing to pay the people for their products plus the exposure. Yeah, I want to do that. Essentially, I don't want to be like a movie actress or like a singer or anything, but essentially I just want to do YouTube videos, TikTok videos, and just help people out. I know also if I make a lot of money, I know I can help out a lot of people financially and do more when it comes to what I'm passionate about.
Alright, so would I want to be famous? Well, I completely understand the influence and power that fame can be used for good, but at the same time, I would actually say no, because I believe that the constant attention is something that I would not be able to handle. That's probably because I'm more of an introverted person and I like my privacy, and I like being out there. But there comes a point when, if this becomes my entire life, then it would just make me grow bitter and exhausted and tired. I respect celebrities who are able to balance stardom and personal life, and yet that's something I don't think I can handle. And yet I am happy where I am right now.
What if you got a lot of views on your YouTube channel?
That would be nice. That would be very, very nice.
And you could start doing YouTube for a living.
That also be nice too.
But then people would know you.
You have a point. Are you ready for the next question?
Yes.
say? And if so, why?
You go first.
Okay, yes, yes, and a billion times over, yes. Because quite honestly, I have little confidence when it comes to voice calls. I feel like I have to rehearse everything when it comes to talking to someone on the phone or Zooming them. Now, in social situations, I am much more adept. It's a much more real encounter. Whereas talking on a phone or a screen, there's always some kind of artificial distance, if that makes sense. Because, especially if you're meeting someone for the first time, first impressions are everything. I feel like that reciting before saying it gives me more confidence and gives me a better idea of what I want to do or what I want to say.
I do rehearse, but that's just because I'm awkward, and it's funny because it's like my awkwardness is kind of like my charm. But I don't like to be awkward to strangers. Like, I don't mind being awkward around my friends, but to a stranger, I have a problem with. Like, honestly, my mother and my dad also usually have me calling the pizza man, calling the Chinese food, calling all the delivery things, and they just have me do all the calling, and I low-key don't like it, but I guess they're just like trying to have me practice for like the real world. But yeah, usually I try to rehearse because if I don't have time to rehearse, then I get flustered, I get overstimulated, and essentially I mess up, I slip over my words, I do too many pauses, I forget what I was gonna say, and it's frustrating when you are neurodivergent. Okay, next question.
Let's see. What would constitute a perfect day for you?
Probably get to spend the day with him and do something we enjoy, like going on a date, double date, or just having a good time. Usually, like going to the malls with my boyfriend, or I would like to genuinely go to Disneyland one day, but Disneyland's expensive. One day, and also I don't trust that the whole reopening thing yet, so I don't feel comfortable being in a big crowd. So one day, hopefully, Dave and I can go to Disneyland, because Disneyland is probably one of my favorite places to be. I am like a low-key Disney adult.
Same. In terms of Disney entertainment, yeah, I'm pretty much a Disney adult too. My perfect day. I am the kind of person who likes structure, so I like planning it out. So a perfect day would probably be in a perfect world. And if I could fancy for a perfect world, it would be I would get up, have a nice breakfast of waffles, and then after that I would do some exercise on the bike, do some music. It would be music that would be very, very un-ASMR, like heavy metal.
Yeah, we both listen to heavy metal.
Yeah. Then I would get some work done, like maybe editing a future video, or it would be a job, and I'd say for the weekend, getting some household chores done around the house. And when it's all said and done, I either human being? Or should I have time for myself, do some gaming as a means of rewarding all my hard work? And then, of course, obviously there's lunch because nutrition. And at the end of the day, it would be a nice big dinner. And when that's all said and done, we would spend some quality time doing whatever. It's like watching TV, movies, whatever either of us like to watch.
Okay, next question.
Alright. When did you last sing to yourself? And if you did, when was the last time you sang to someone else? I love musicals. I love them so much because it's such a beautiful genre of film, TV, stage, where a song can tell a whole story or capture an entire mood. And it is the most visual of all media. But with that said, I am totally self-conscious when it comes to singing. I can't sing. In terms of what I sang to myself, usually is when I would pick myself up, is whenever I'm having a hard time and I feel like I'm unloved at any time, I would listen to this song from this musical called Company. And it is about a guy pretty much does not want to be in love. And then he pretty much gets a bunch of girlfriends to compensate for his negative feelings. And over time he realizes that all the love that he sees and all the love that he can receive and share is worth all the hardships and pain and struggles. Because at the end of the day, we are feeling something truly beautiful. And specifically, this song that evokes an epiphany is one of the most beautiful I could ever hear. And it's something in terms of love that I register on all cylinders, whether it be romantic, platonic, or however. Because at the end of the day, love is so beautiful that even its pain can feel so cathartic, because it's proof that not only are we deserving of our feelings, but also we are deserving to be loved.
I don't sing. The only time I sing is like in a heavy metal voice. And, like that raspy voice heavy metalists have when they sing. Essentially, I'm practicing that, but other than any other form of singing, I'm not good at singing. I can't understand tone that well. And, I can't understand like pitch and everything like that, so I don't sing. But when I do have like a little earwig, I essentially, I kind of sing. Like, last thing I remember singing was, Paul Burnham's Inside, and this song, Welcome to the Internet. I saw it on TikTok, and I saw someone, lip syncing to it, and now I have it stuck in my head, and I can't get it out. It's a really catchy song.
Another reminder to myself to watch Bo Burnham's Inside.
We should do that together.
Yeah.
Yeah. essentially when I get old, because I just want to have like a lot of knowledge I can pass on into like the next generation. But I guess though, if I was like losing like my memory and stuff, I probably would want the memory of I'm gonna say the memory of a 30-year-old, because I'm pretty sure as I get older, my memory's gonna go out. Like usually what happens with old age, but really with looks, I don't really care with looks, because honestly, I feel beauty is skin deep. It's what's inside you that matters, and I just typically, when I see someone that I'm romantically attracted to, only thing I care about is their personality. Like, they could be like really ugly, but I would not mind that. Like, other people would view them as ugly, but I would not view them as ugly, because I just see a beautiful soul on the inside. Also, there's no ugly people. The only ugly people are like really mean people who just get satisfaction out of hurting others. Those are ugly people.
So ugly. Alright, so in answering the question, I would have to say I would actually want a mind of a 30-year-old, because if there's one thing that's just as valuable as teaching, it's learning. And I feel that I am a lifelong learner. Whether I am 37 or 93, we are all lifelong learners, and we continue to learn. So with a 30-year-old mind, I would still like to be in a constant state of learning.
I can envision you as a grandpa asking your grandkids, like, "Hey, Sonny, how do I work this contraption?"
Like I said, lifelong learning.
And then they're gonna get frustrated with us, like how we get frustrated with our grandparents, and we're like, I get it now. I get it why my parents were so confused.
And there would come a breaking point where I would do the inevitable back in my day monologue. You kids these days, and your phones, and your iPads. Well, back in my day, we had rotary phones, house phones, and of course the classic notepad and pens. You can tell she's had it with this because she's completely zoning out, but lifelong learner. Ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Do you have a secret hunch about how you will die? Besides the ideal death, which is to be in a bed and surrounded by loved ones. Not really. But no. That's about it.
Okay, so my secret hunch how I'm gonna die. I live in California. Specifically, I live in Los Angeles, which, if you know the stereotype, everyone doesn't know how to drive. Like, nobody knows how to drive. I am typically the one in my friend group besides one of my other friends. So I'm typically the one that drives. So I don't know, it's just like every time someone does something stupid while I'm driving, I'm just like, this is how I'm gonna die. This is how I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die in a car crash because someone decides to pull out of their driveway when I'm going like 40 miles an hour on the road. So, yeah, I have a feeling I'm probably gonna die in a car crash. If I don't die in a car crash, I'm probably gonna end up dying. It's weird because it's like there are moments in my life where I'm like in bad health, but then there are moments in life, and right now it's one of those moments where I'm in really good health. So I don't know, but is the one we mentioned earlier about us being Disney adults. We also enjoy watching movies together a lot, and honestly, I like movies better than TV shows because my attention span is so short. I could sit through a movie, but I'm not one of those people that can binge Netflix because my attention span is so short. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're good communicators. Not much to say that Rave hasn't just said. I would say, yes, I agree, we are good communicators. And I will say, as mature and adult as we are, we also have a healthy connection with our own childlike sides. And by that I mean, we can also have very mature and absurd senses of humor, almost to our own playful chagrins.
You mean shenanigans?
Yes. Like, her sense of humor would be so surreal and absurd that I just gotta sit back and just be like, what? And sometimes I would dish out these puns that are so dadcore. They would be so dadcore. Like, I would make these puns. They would be so dadcore that Rave can't help but boop me on the nose just to tell me that I've done a good job, even though it is so dadcore. And I think another thing we have in common is that we both like the Pokemans.
Yeah, we do both like Pokemon.
And even though I have more experience with Pokemon than Rave does, it is so fun just to teach her the ropes. Because it feels like that not only am I like a personal professor to her, but I am also, but to a greater extent, we are embarking our own Pokemon journey.
Yeah, so like he's into the RPG Pokemon games, and I'm more into the cards.
Right? And the last thing that we do have in common is that we are both in touch with our feminine sides. And I take a fair amount of pride in that. Right, next question. For what in your life do you feel most grateful?
Okay, so I don't know if this is going to answer the question or if it's just going to be something else, but I am glad I got to experience the 90s somewhat. I was born in 95 and I just got to experience it like a little bit before the 2000s came by. I got to also experience the early 2000s. I was like an older kid by the time the early 2000s were coming around. I love the style back then. I love the movies and the music and everything. And I honestly wish I was a teenager in the 90s so I can understand things like AOL and AIM and everything like that. But like if I were to travel back in time, I would only travel to like the 1980s and 1990s so I could just experience how life was, but then go back home after I was done.
I feel the most grateful for cinephilia. And obviously that's besides having all the lovely people in my life. Especially this lovely person right here. I don't know what I would do without this lovely person. But going back to my cinephilia, I feel that film itself is so special and important because since it is the most popular of the mass media arts, it also has the power to make us empathetic of people's dreams and desires and struggles, as well as understanding people. Even though they're fiction, we can understand these hopes, dreams, and fears, even though they're not completely real, and because they're so important. Discussing them in a fun but also meaningful way gives us greater meaning of how we can see the world. So I value my outlook on life as curious as it is to my love of cinephilia. And sure, life can never be a movie, but that doesn't mean we can learn something from them that we can apply to our world, even when it's something endearingly simple or something challenging yet so beautiful.
Okay, next question.
If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be? Something that I would change. Well, I will say this. One thing that I will change is that, first of all, I am neurodivergent and I am autistic. And how that's relevant is that when I was in high school, there was this club called Best Buddies where you would have people commingle with other people who are on the spectrum. And I would regularly go to these meetings because I thought it was such a lovely cause. And it was. And I would make a fair amount of friends with everyone, especially those who would be on the board. And there came a point where I was so friendly and outgoing that starting in my freshman year, I would be so outgoing and friendly that at the start of my junior year, I was selected to be part of the board. At first, it was fun and rewarding. But as I look back, I realized that there was something much more hollow than I had thought.
You were basically tokenized.
That is exactly what it was. In fact, there's this great video from the tech that talks about representation of the neurodivergent community, and I'll just put it somewhere in the video, just see what I mean. But getting back to the subject, I had this feeling that I was seen as a benign means to an end, that I was someone where someone had to be nice to me, and as nice as they were, I felt like that I could not be their friend beyond the club. And that's when it hit me. Every single member of the board was neurotypical. And that's when it hit me again. There was a lack of representation, and a charter for Best Buddies, especially a club, could only be ran by people on the spectrum, because those are the people who understand what it was like to grow up and live as somebody on the spectrum. Allies are useful, but they do not substitute a neurotypical experience. because with more representation, we have greater advocacy. And in retrospect, I found that Best Buddies was an experience that robbed me